So, good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming to our family night at the University of Waterloo. This is the probably third or fourth year that we've had this. We found it to be an extremely helpful event, and so we hope that that's what you will find tonight also. My name is Julie Hummel. I'm the Associate Director of Marketing and Recruitment here at the University, and I guess my primary responsibility here on campus is to make sure that the right kind of students find out about the University of Waterloo, and they come and check us out when they're looking for universities. We have a really very impressive lineup of people who are here tonight to speak with you and to answer your questions, to provide you with some information. And I'll be introducing them and moving things along as the night goes on, walking you through the night. I suspect that for some of you, tonight is a little bit surreal. For those of you who have come with students or kids who are in grade 10, it probably feels like not that long ago you were just getting them ready to leave elementary school and go to high school. And now here you find yourself on a cold January night sitting in a university auditorium talking about post-secondary education. I know how intimidating and daunting that can be, having just gone through it last year and now just transitioning my son from grade 8 into grade 9. I know that first time when you're letting them leave elementary school and go into high school for your first kids, it's a little bit scary because they've been in a fairly insulated environment. You know their teachers, you know their friends, and they probably go to school on a school bus or they walk. And then all of a sudden you send them off to high school and they come home and their lunch bag's always full because they never eat that lunch because they went out with their friends, and they get on a city bus and you don't even know who a lot of their friends are anymore. And you're just getting used to that, and now here we are making you think about university. So we're going to try to be a little bit of a shock absorber for that tonight so that it's not so intimidating. And I applaud all of you for coming out. I suspect that most of you have students who are in grade 10. There may be some 9, 11, 12s, but probably the majority of you are grade 10. And it may seem early to be thinking about the things that we're going to talk about tonight, but in fact, it's really not that early. Whenever I do anything at work, and sometimes in my private life, but not as often, I try to think, as I'm planning the event, what will success look like at the end of this night? How will we know that we've been successful and that we've met all of your needs here? When I was thinking about that tonight, wondering if we would do a good job, meet your needs, I was thinking again that there are probably two groups of people in this audience. There's probably a group who have all of their questions on a piece of paper or on their BlackBerry or in their notebooks, and you know what your questions are. You've thought about this, maybe you've put another student through university or gone through university yourself, or you kind of know what you need to ask. And then there might be the rest of you who are showing due diligence by coming here tonight but have absolutely no idea what you're supposed to be asking or what you may find out. So I think what success will look like tonight when we leave here is if we have answered the questions for those of you who have the list, and for those of you who don't, and for those who do. I think that what we're trying to do is create an opportunity for conversation between you and your kids. That might happen this week, next month, in the next year or two, and you may remember things that you learned here tonight, and they will help to inform you and to help you move through this kind of journey through high school and on into post-secondary education. So I don't know that we'll know if we were successful right away, but I do hope that you recall the things that you learned in this conversation and they help prepare you for what's next. Speaking of what's next, I'm going to introduce our first speaker. Professor Ian Goulden they gave me this bio of him that's super impressive, and there was all kinds of words in there that I could barely pronounce in terms of his accomplishments. What I can tell you is that he's a Dean of Mathematics here at the University of Waterloo. You know that University of Waterloo is renowned for our Faculty of Mathematics. He joined the Department of Combinatorics and Optimization a long time ago in 1980, and more recently he's been the director of this math and business program. He has a passion, I'm told, for algebraic combinatorics, so maybe there are some kindred spirits in the audience, definitely not on stage. But he was also the winner of the Faculty of Mathematics Award for Distinction for teaching, and that's the most important thing that you need to know, because that's what you care about, is what kind of teachers are going to be teaching you for the students or your kids, for the parents who are here. And I think that Ian is an amazing example of the caliber of teachers that we have here who care about kids and are trying to move them forward. The great thing about Ian, too, is that he also has 2 young girls of his own, and they're also transitioning through educational experiences, and I suspect he'll draw on those tonight as he speaks with you. So please help me welcome Ian Goulden.
So on the campus at the University of Waterloo, mathematicians are shameless exhibitionists. So we go around wearing pink ties. I don't think anyone else would wear a pink tie. That's a symbol of the math faculty. After the founding father of mathematics at Waterloo, who had absolutely no taste in clothing, but is really good at math problems. In fact, every year the first-year students design their own version of a pink tie. We have a pink tie pledge. The dean's supposed to lead it. It's a great power trip for me. And this year the students designed it with some Pokemon symbols on it, and it's upside down to me, but otherwise I don't understand it very much, but I proudly wear it. I'm delighted to be here, especially because, as Julie said, I've just gone through a couple of months of grade 8 nights. So my 13-year-old and my wife and I have gone off to various high schools and found out all about their programs, and they're somewhat different than the programs that I encountered 45, 43 years ago when I was in grade 10. And grade 8 was 45 years ago. Man. Of course, my wife and I thought we'd be great support, and we thought the fact that we'd actually finished high school some time ago would mean that we could give some information to our daughter that she listened to, but she thought us completely clueless. She was going to make this choice. So after 2 months of angst, she's finally made her choice and announced it on Facebook, and all is well until our next crisis. And of course, in the midst of that, we will be pronounced clueless again. So how many people here, how many of the students here have some subject they really love more than others? Some subjects. Something good about school? You can't phone me. You can't phone me like that kid in the back row because I didn't give any of you my number. And anyway, I put it on mute. Okay. So most of you have some subject that you'll confess to loving. So one thing that I really believe in is doing something that you love. Part of the message is that success usually comes with a lot of hard work. But if you're working hard at something you love, it doesn't seem like hard work. So I think it's great to think about what you really like. One of the delights of going on to post-secondary is there's an awful lot. There's a huge world out there. I was young once. That wasn't my laugh. I'd planned some jokes. That's not a joke. That's Ian Goulden, grade 10. So I was there once. I can remember thinking about what I might do at university, whether I would go to university. Some of the people in Ottawa where I live, they wanted to go off to work at Eddie Matches. You could get a labor job when you were 18, paying an awful lot an hour. Not many of those jobs anymore. So I can remember being excited about going to university, post-secondary, thinking about it. So some of you here are the first in your families to go to university. Some of you are the oldest. Some of you even think your parents are clueless, despite the fact that they may have completed some post-secondary. And you're thinking about what you might do. So I would say that what you want to think about most is keep your excitement, and any intimidation you feel, you want to lessen it by the 3 most important words in lessening intimidation. And that is information, information, information. So we're here tonight to give you some information, some opinions. Hopefully we won't bore you to death and lessen your excitement, and hopefully you can have your intimidation diminished. When I was in grade 10, I loved math. I loved science. I loved to read. I didn't love online games. Of course, they hadn't been invented. I was the eldest in my family. I didn't show much love for my brothers and sister. But as they got older and bigger than me, I learned to show more love to them. I love math contests. 1969, I wrote that junior math contest. What's the answer, by the way? What's the area of the shaded region between the two circles? So I love math. My father and mother said to me, please do something you love, pursue it. I said, what do you do if you're a mathematician? Do I have to be an accountant, an actuary, a math teacher? They said, don't worry about it. Do something you love, pursue it, do it as well as you can. I went off to Waterloo to do math. I guess I liked this math contest. The answer is D, 4 minus pi, by the way. In fact, we still have mathematics competitions here. There's two smiling gentlemen out there in the lobby before the show. Serge D'Alessio and Ian Vanderberg, professors here. I think Ian went home because he didn't like to see his picture, but Serge is somewhere here, perhaps. Professor D'Alessio. We still run a lot of math competitions for people who might love doing things that are mathematical. Mathematics isn't just formulas. I love geometry, two-dimensional symbols. This is beautiful, of course. Has 9 squares of different colors. It's called a squared rectangle. It's a puzzle you might solve as I go on. You Google squared rectangle. You could find its connection with electrical circuit theory and spanning trees of a graph. You could think about what size each of those squares must be. They all have to have different size. For it to be a squared rectangle, every one of those squares has to have completely different sizes. I love toys, 3 dimensions. So if you're a math teacher or you love math, might go on Google Zome. You'll find there's beautiful 3-dimensional figures. Here's one of them. It's yours. You can pass it around. There's 3-dimensional geometry. Platonic solids. So what 5-letter word is a hint that the Greeks knew about these? Please. Not always the same. Yes, please. Plato. Yeah, Platonic solids after Plato. What you have here is a dodecahedron. It has 12 faces, each of which has 5 sides. I even love formulas. E equals mc squared, which I don't understand very well. The area of a circle is pi r squared. I understand that a bit. We've got pi, shows up in all kinds of symbols, mathematical formulas. Pi is a number, 3.14159, 26535, blah, 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 blah. Of course, we have some fun with the students in mathematics. So we make this little pun, because pi, the Greek letter, of course, is a pi. And so we have Pi Day. So all these smiling students are mathematicians. You can tell because they don't have much taste in clothes, perhaps. But not so bad that they're wearing pink ties. And down on the table are pieces of pie. It's like a feeding frenzy, so there's not much left there. And of course, what day is that? It's March 14th at 1:59 p.m. The students are around at 1:59 a.m., but the dean's not there to help them serve the pie. So 3.14159, we celebrate Pi Day, March 14th. Man, we got a lot of jokes in math. So the students at Waterloo come for a term at a time. So in the winter term from January to April, that's great. On March 14th, we can have Pi Day, and on March 17th, we can drink green beer if we're old enough. In the spring term, in July, the students have pie envy. So they've thought of, great sense of humor, a mathematical joke. In fact, the ancients thought that pi, 3.14159, the ratio of the circumference to the diameter of a circle, was actually the number 22 divided by 7. And so on the 7th month and the 22nd day, but we don't hold ourselves to any time of day, I think we start at noon, we have another Pi Day. But of course, 22 over 7 is only approximately pi, so we call that Pi Approximation Day. And so we serve cake. Man, that's good. We got lots of jokes in math. We got your imaginary numbers and your irrational numbers and your transcendental numbers. And in math, we think that's really funny. Of course, anyone thinks it's funny. But of course, pi is also the 16th letter in the Greek alphabet. So some of you may not love mathematics as much as I do. But you might love languages. You might like to think about the Greek alphabet. As you know, there's 24 letters. What's that little guy third in the second row? The I without a dot. Everyone know the Greek alphabet? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, psi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, and omega. That's pretty good. Thank you. So you might prefer language. You might like to think about ancient Greek. There's a segment written on original papyrus or parchment. Here's a translation, Homer, the Iliads. So you might love language. You can study, of course, the history of the ancients or languages in the arts. And you don't just have to study English and a few lame novels and a Shakespeare play like you do in high school. There's all sorts of things. You might like history. You might like buildings in Rome or in Greece. You might not like history or anything artistic, but you might like buildings in general. A bridge, Golden Gate Bridge, or dams. You might want to be an architect. You can study that in our engineering faculty. Or you might think it's really cool to say, how the heck does that bridge, that dam stand up and the water not burst it? What forces do you have to analyze? So you might think it's really cool to have some engineering diagrams. Maybe engineering's for you. You might not like any formulas whatsoever. Seems hard to imagine to me, but I'm told that there are people like that. Billions of them, and they live happy lives. You might look at the water behind the dam and think of the subcultures, the environments they create. You might think about resources and tourism. You might want to study something in our Faculty of Environment. You might love the chemistry of water. You might want to study science. There's something for everyone. You might think I'm a really strange fellow. In fact, there's Serge and me, our favorite pastime, discussing formulas. I'm afraid the numbers don't lie, Serge. We're definitely nerds. In fact, you might just think I am a very strange person, and you start to think about studying strange behavior. You might want to be a psychologist or a neurologist. Or you might think that I'm hopping around too much, and you want to study kinesiology, Faculty of Applied Health Sciences. There's something for everyone. Man, when you look at the list of subjects you study in high school, history, geography, English, French, maybe you get a chance at Spanish, maybe you can still study Latin. I studied Latin and Greek. Didn't take enough English, probably. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, they seem like a lot, and they're quite intimidating, and there are more things open to you now than when I was young. But here's a list of subjects you can study. Go to university, there's an ABC, and they are all the ABCs. I think the ladies want me to finish in less than an hour, so they said I shouldn't read every one of them and explain them. Just let the numbers wash over you. Here you have ethnicity, race and migration, investigative medicine, Islamic studies. The cool thing about going to post-secondary is you're going to find something you love if you want to. You can find something you want to study, you can be committed to. Of course, you may think that you can study all these different subjects, but what job are you going to do? There's a heck of a lot of jobs out there. There's a lot of sources of information. You can go and look online at lists of best and worst jobs. Of course, mathematicians like this list. Comes through the Wall Street Journal from CareerCast, software engineer and mathematician. I think they overweighted soft jobs where you sit at a desk a lot. Oh, there's a list of top jobs down to number 25. Number 21 to 25 are speech pathologist, astronomer, loan officer, petroleum engineer, and dietitian. In the era of Google, you can go off and look up jobs, careers, subjects. You like something, you can go find something that you can pursue. You can pursue with a passion. course, things change. You might or might not like what your parents and grandparents tell you about their career, but it might not be relevant to you. I mean, some of these things seem like a joke, but there's lots of careers now that didn't exist 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Of course, a green funeral director might be a bit of an overstatement. That might be a bit of a niche type of occupation, I'm told. Forensic accountants. We hear about that in the newspaper all the time when those white-collar criminals are getting hauled off to jail. It's forensic accountants that are checking them. They can't have the 3 sets of books that Al Capone had and do the things that he did. So you, as a student, you're looking ahead. Opportunity. Shake hands with the future. And you have to think ahead. You can't think back to something that's been done for the last 25 years. You need information. The world's changing fast. Here they have some famous quotes. You know, the average Canadian, I guess that's most relevant for us, will go through many careers in a lifetime. Number's usually 7, 3, 10. So they observe that people change jobs faster, that careers move faster behind us, and that people tend to go through more job changes than they used to. You need to be equipped for that. I believe that you need education. If you like it, you love it. You need to learn how to learn to equip yourself for the future. I believe that post-secondary education is a fantastic investment. Tuition fees go up faster and faster to pay for my pink clothing, for these wonderful facilities, for studies. So you can go and look up numbers like these. Average earnings of the population, Canadian census data from 2006. They're looking at a bachelor's degree, something above the bachelor level, something less than a bachelor level in terms of formal education. And there's no sense you trying to imprint that on your brain, but you can go and look up these sorts of things. They're freely available to you. So I believe that despite the cost, which in Canada is relatively low compared to a lot of American institutions, for instance, I think it's a good investment, the tuition and the time. I also think that along the way, that experience is a great thing. I've made lots of mistakes in my time. So I happen to think that co-op program like we have at Waterloo is something to really think about. You go to the university for 8 months or 4 months at a time, and you go to work in different companies, different types of jobs, see how the world works. What I observe as an instructor amongst our students is that the change in a classroom from students in first year to second year, well, a few students have decided university is not for them and don't come back, but a lot of students have gone off for a work term or 2. And I think they come back a lot more mature and a lot more motivated. So I believe that this is a very good option for you to think seriously about. Don't know how this comes out. Jeremy, have you been listening to me? Yes, well, no, but I am now. If you said anything important over the past few years, this would be a good time to repeat it. So Julie's very polite to me. So she's telling me my time's up here. And this is my last slide. So it may seem like this is a few years to most of you, but actually it's only been about 20 minutes. So what do I think is most important? Most important is be excited. Be excited about learning. Please keep it. Don't be intimidated. To lessen intimidation, you need information. You have lots more information to come this evening. I've told you something very personal. And of course, you should never believe what any one person tells you, even your mother. You've got lots of sources of information. You can calibrate, have a check, and you can have fun doing so. And if you start when you're in grade 10, you've got lots of time to make the right choice. Good luck with everything. Thank you very much.